All right. And it says we're live. So this is the sound check portion. Can we get a sound check? Oh my God, Tom. I actually read the first book in that series, The Red Mars. Never got to the other two.
I did not either.
That was actually...
I didn't read any of that.
Huh.
Is it a sci-fi thing? Or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a 3-book series. Red Mars, Blue Mars, Green Mars.
Like a terraforming type deal?
Kind of.
Okay.
But I mean, the first one starts off where they're just on Mars as is.
Right.
And that's when I first learned that the outside temperature of Mars was like far below freezing and
negative 110 Fahrenheit at night.
Yeah.
And then a balmy negative like 40 during the day, or negative 10, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So sound check. Let's get some
can you hear us? Hello.
Get some feedback.
Hello.
Oh, fucking pizza. Ugh. Hope that doesn't smell.
That's fine. This diet is wearing on me, man.
Yeah.
It's every day it's the same shit. Same bland ass food.
See, variety is the spice of life, especially if you enjoy food. If you don't enjoy eating, like, I don't think it matters. I think there's people out there that just like, this is the food, I will ingest it, and they don't enjoy it.
Right. The way my trainer looks at it, he said, it's just fuel. That's all it is. It's just fuel for your body. So don't even think about it. But I'm like, but I like food.
Yeah.
And I get really sick of bland food very fast. So, All right. Hello. Are we live here?
Is this thing on?
Yeah. Sound check.
Hello.
I see people talking.
I made chicken fajita rice bowls. Are we even
here? The chat's just here for the chat.
Right. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Click. All right. Well, at least there's some response from the peanut gallery.
Mm-hmm. Hello.
All right.
I still have yet to hear anybody say that we sound fine. So we're waiting for that before we get started. So this is on you guys at this point.
Right. No pre-show banter. That's not what this is for.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could turn it on my phone.
I know. I guess we get our own goddamn sound check.
All right. Sounds great.
You found sign. I think Solsky's had a little bit too much to drink tonight.
Yeah, maybe.
Might have to cut him off. All right. So we good then?
I think we're good.
All right. Let me get the notes actually up. So we have those to see. I kind of feel like I should piss before we start.
Yeah?
Yeah. Should I risk it? And then just be dancing halfway through? Yeah, fuck it. We'll push. Push.
We'll puss? We'll puss. We'll puss. Fuck it.
I have not been drinking, shockingly. Just water.
It's a bland-ass food. All right. Let me know when you're ready.
Let me get this thing queued up. Do it. Fuck. From a Gen X point of view is brought to you today by
podbelly.com. We don't ordinarily start right the podcast off with fuck.
Yeah.
But since we're already on, since we're already saying it. Anyway. Podbelly.com. Explore, listen, learn, pig out on all things podcast. Podbelly is the home to the official Podbelly Podcast Network. We are passionate about podcasting for listeners. We provide a network and directory of podcasts for all your listening needs. For aspiring and existing podcasters, we provide podcast-related content and a podcast directory to help with exposure. Oh, yeah, we have a pig named Kevin. And I'm going to show you all right now a picture of said pig. This is what podbelly.com looks like. Go there, click on the Podbelly Network of Podcasts, and you can find all of these good podcasts in here. You can also find other ones in the podcast directory as such. So go on there, find some podcasts, follow them, listen to them, provide feedback like we would like you to provide us.
Yes.
On our goods and services.
Indeed. Well, thank you for that very professional Podbelly plug.
It helps to read it.
That's very well done. Yes. So, what is this podcast talking about this week, Dave?
Some exciting shit.
Yeah.
It's the Perseverance rover has landed on Mars.
Mars, Mars, bitches.
Then you do the Red Rock.
That's where we are going. Mars, right. Red Rocks.
Yeah. All right. See, that's my part of that.
Okay.
All right.
So
we're doing great, folks.
Yeah, we're going to Mars.
We're on Mars.
Well, yeah. And we've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the Perseverance rover and Ingenuity. A lot of exciting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I have some hopes that this is going to re-excite the American public as far as space exploration goes. We'll get into it when we get there.
Yeah.
But in the meantime,
if you're not excited, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not excited by the Mars landing, as it stands right now with this technology, then you're missing out. You really, we're going to get to it here in a little bit, but trust us, this is something you want to hear.
Yes, indeed. So pivoting away from that for a second, I guess we have some merch online now, eh?
We do. I, for whatever reason, this weekend was looking for a distraction from something else, I'm sure. And took a page out of our friends from the Escape Pod. They'd set themselves up some Teespring merch, some get t-shirts and all that other good stuff. So I'm like, you know what? Let me check that out. And the product, according to Luna Girl, the shirt's soft and the t-shirts are nice. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it for us. So yes, we have now our own landing site from tpublic.com/user/from a Gen X point of view podcast.
Link is in the description of this YouTube channel and in the audio file.
Yes, go in there. You can find, get yourself our G.I. Joe style logo. You can get a picture of our thumbnail, with the Beavis and Butthead imagery, and or you could get for the exclusives for the Sidebar Cantina. For those who know what that is, they can get themselves a Sidebar Cantina t-shirt. And I'm working on some other t-shirt designs besides that. That was kind of like, hey, I wanted to get something out there, so let's use these. And it's awesome. So get out there, get yourself some Gen X point of view merchandise, and you will do it.
I love it. So we have a new social media director who has been doing a phenomenal job for us on Instagram and on Facebook.
Can't even describe how amazing it's been to see the amount of traffic that's gone through the Instagram account. Like I'm looking at these posts going like, holy shit. I don't think I've posted on Instagram even in its entirety as much as she's posted in the past few weeks. So fucking amazing job.
And it's awesome. And we wanted to talk about one of the, I guess it was kind of a poll that she posted a couple days ago, which was great. I participated in it because as soon as I saw it, I'm like, ooh, I got to answer some of these. And it was basically pick a one or the other, right? She presented two things very relatable to our childhoods or our upbringing, and which do you prefer? And it was a great little poll, and we actually wanted to go over some of these live here on the air because it was a real fun thing, and there's some fun discussion points as well. So started off Cocoa Pebbles versus Fruity Pebbles. I was in the minority in this one. 44% picked Fruity Pebbles, which is what I chose.
I also chose Fruity Pebbles.
Oh, no shit.
Over to the Choco Pebbles. Yeah. I've had both, right? And this was not a staple breakfast cereal in the house, but every once in a while, it would show up. And the Cocoa Pebbles had this after coating Like, so both of
Mhm.
these cereals, like, and you think about it, if you as an adult, you have it like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like somebody took and plastered the inside of your mouth with something.
Yeah.
And the Cocoa Pebbles, even when I was a kid, seemed to have like this after effect that I wasn't fond of. Whereas the Fruity Pebbles, like, oh, okay, get this good sugary flavor up on the front of it.
Yeah.
And then, it was easier to deal with.
Right. And the Cocoa Pebbles too, like they very quickly started like the chocolate started melting into the milk.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Like if you didn't eat it fast, like all the little flakes would turn gray and the milk would be all brown.
Yeah. And well, look, as a kid, I was one of those kids who drank the milk out of the bottom of the bowl anyway.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, who didn't?
Yeah.
Who fucking threw away milk? You don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
So
future vegans apparently probably did shit like that.
Right. So the next one we had was the Walkman versus the boombox, which I was in the majority on this one.
Yeah,
I chose the Walkman.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about it a little bit before. Like, I had the Walkman before it had the belt clip. When you had the strap that went around you. Yeah, the Walkman was my introduction to, a personal stereophonic device.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, there's a whole discussion to be had about the boombox and breakdancing and shit like that. Because that's what boombox is to me. That's like kind of like when you saw a boombox. Yeah, it's like, oh, here's some cardboard and we do some breakdancing.
Yeah, no, I don't think I ever even owned a boombox, honestly.
I didn't.
Yeah, so easy choice on that one. This is an interesting one. The Snorks versus the Smurfs. Most people went Smurfs. I don't know who the one person was that answered Snorks, but
yeah, there's some 6% that you know what? It's just like for the Air Force would take all these damn surveys, right? I think sometimes people just select something on the other side just to see when they're posting, because you take all these surveys in the Air Force, right? And what they do is they'll have like a commander's call and they'll go through the results of the survey. And I think people do some shit just so they could see like their little dot over on the other side of being a contrarian to everything. But because the Smurfs are obviously the superior fucking cartoon.
Yep. And we now know who was the person who answered Snorks because they are in the chat.
Oh, of course it was. The ultimate contrarian, Bronco Fett.
Well, actually, it wasn't him. Somebody else said that they were the one who answered it. I don't know if he actually answered the thing on Instagram. Anyway, moving on. We then had Bubblicious versus Hubba Bubba. The two different gums. Obviously, Bubblicious is the winner here. That's what I picked.
Well, what's funny is, so I consternated over this a little bit because I was like, I remember having Hubba Bubba, but then I remembered that I had this kick where I chewed Bubblicious. Like it was part of my everyday carry. Like I had a pack of Bubblicious in my pocket, and it was like that for months. Right. And especially, I think it was around like spring sports season. Like I would always have gum, because you couldn't have like sunflower seeds and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
no Big League Chew.
No. I mean, that's shit. That stuff was terrible. It would lose its flavor so goddamn fast.
It would disintegrate in your mouth.
Yeah.
Too.
It reminded me. Big League Chew was a shredded version of the bubble gum that you would get in a big pack of baseball cards, basically. Right. But yeah, but I had to think about it for a minute. I was like, man, Hubba Bubba. I remember seeing Hubba Bubba on the shelves of bubble gum.
I remember the commercials for it. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, shit, I didn't even think about the commercials. But yeah, Bubblicious obviously was
far superior. Okay,
excuse me.
This was an interesting one. This is the one where I was in the minority. Mr. Belvedere versus Webster. Majority picked Mr. Belvedere. I picked Webster because that's the only one of the two shows I remember ever watching.
Really? You never watched Mr. Belvedere?
No.
I was a Mr. Belvedere. Like I like Mr. Belvedere better. Mm-hmm. And I think honestly it's because of Bob Uecker. Right. There was a comedic element there, and the interaction between him was you see this in the chat? Smurfs was so boring. Snorks was very interesting episode to episode.
I've never done a deep analysis of the Snorks or Smurfs.
No fucking way. No way. God, the Snorks were fucking Kirkland brand fucking Smurfs.
Hey, whoa! Easy on the Kirkland brand there, all right? We are a Costco family now. We are all in on Kirkland brand. So
that's fair. I didn't
watch your tongue.
I didn't say it was Walmart brand. I said it was the Kirkland brand.
To be fair, there's a couple of Walmart brand things that I actually really enjoy.
Yeah.
Their cookie dough ice cream, the Great Value cookie dough ice cream is fucking amazing. And their Great Value light Greek yogurts are actually really good too.
Okay.
So
see? He's hungry, folks. Really he's so hungry. He wants food that doesn't taste like it came out of a fucking tube.
Yeah. So anyway, Mr. Belvedere won that one.
Yes.
Then we move on to another one where I was in the minority. I might have been the only person to answer.
What?
On the other side. This is the scratch and sniff versus the puffy stickers.
Really?
Very, very few scratch and sniffs I actually remember, but I remember those puffy stickers were fucking everywhere. Maybe it's just my hometown. Maybe because I lived in the white ghetto. I don't know, but
all right,
the puffy stickers was where it was at.
I can't even. Yeah, no, I can't. Even today, even if a sticker has too much fucking texture to it, it's off-putting to me. Like I was definitely a flat sticker. Like I have a sticker obsession. Like it's fairly well documented, right? So, and it started early in my childhood, and it probably started because of scratch and like these stickers. Like when she posted this, like that sticker pack, I can remember specifically seeing some of those on like papers I got in fucking grade school.
Oh, really?
They were like in there scratching because you got an A, you get a scratch stiff sticker. Yeah, puffy stickers. I just never could do it.
Okay.
I think it's exposure. I think you just weren't exposed to the appropriate level of scratch and sniff.
Yeah, not really.
What about scratch and sniff in general? Like there's been other things that have been scratch and sniff. No, never really wanted to get your nose into a piece of fucking cardboard and.
No, but I do remember when the one He-Man toy,
right,
Skunk Ore, it was had a skunk sent to him. That was
we talked about that in the He-Man episode.
Yeah. No, not much exposure. So, oh my god!
Hey, Scott.
Scott made quite the comment there. So,
is that the last one?
That was the last one. If you want to see more fun content like this, follow us on Instagram. Or really follow Luna Girl on Instagram at GenXPOV on Instagram and see all this awesome shit that she's posting. Thank you so much, Luna Girl. You are the best.
And she said we will have a this or that game every Saturday morning because it's fun. I love it.
It was fun.
I absolutely love it.
All right. Anything else before we move into our weeks?
No.
All right.
How's that bladder doing over there?
All right. So this weekend is what I call a lazy Sunday and Saturday.
Right.
So normally the new Jason, the post-COVID Jason, I've been trying to be very productive.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm taking care of myself. We're trying to get shit straightened out in the house. The house needs a lot of work. Trying to get a lot of stuff done there. Trying to pick up some of the slack now that Kristen is working. I've been doing a lot more laundry, dishes, shit like that. Shit that I wouldn't normally do. But I'm trying to pull my weight and everything. Right. I didn't do shit this weekend. Didn't do a goddamn thing productive. I did go to the gym. I went to the gym first thing in the morning, Saturday and Sunday. But besides that, I sat on my ass at my computer desk all fucking weekend. And you know what? I don't feel the least bit bad about it.
No, you need a day off.
Yeah.
You need those days to fucking not to disconnect. Be like, all right, there's something so gratifying at this stage of our lives with not having to be somewhere, not having to do something that you could just sit there and fucking, I could do this all day and then go to bed. And you, like you said, you don't even feel bad about it.
Yeah.
And you need those days. Me personally, I think I feel like I have those days more often than not anymore, which is probably not the reality. Anybody who knows me would probably say that, but
right. Yeah. Let me ask Kathy that.
Yeah.
See what she has to say.
Or yeah. It's good. It's good. You need those days.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Can't do it too often, Next weekend I'll have to step it up a bit and do something. You know what it is though? A lot of it's the cold.
Yes.
I don't want to do anything in the cold. it's been tough just getting myself motivated to go to the gym on a regular basis. But, it helps having a trainer and this routine that I'm in. But
yeah, if you're going to suffer through all that fucking food, you might as well at least get to your gym and shit. Have the reason for having this fuel, air quote.
Yeah. So I'm still doing that. But yeah, for the most part, just enjoyed a little bit of fuck off time. But next weekend, I'm sure I'll kind of be somewhat.
You should have came in here and played some Battlefront. I was on the Xbox a little bit.
That would have required me to come in here, turn on the heat, and again, that's an effort. It was an effort that I didn't want to put in.
So you should take your old Xbox, connect it to your computer monitor. That way you could play it at your computer monitor. And when you really wanted to just come over and get on the Xbox X, then you have it on the big TV.
That is a good idea.
I mean, you have it.
Yeah, because the Xbox One hasn't done shit since I got the Xbox X. So
yeah.
All right. I will do that.
Yeah, you should do that.
All right.
I've actually been considering doing something like that myself.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on from that, for people who have watched us and who've followed us as we've been podcasting for these last 3 years.
4
years.
4, I think. Yeah. 2017 something.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I enjoy a beverage or 5 on the show. But this month I again was doing like a sober month. So for the month of February, no alcohol. And God, I don't miss it, man. It's because I've gotten to the point where I just feel like such shit the next day. Even if I just have like 3 or 4 beers in here. And when we're doing the show, and then I chug a bunch of water afterwards, I maybe even eat something afterwards and go to bed, still feel like shit the next morning. I don't know, man, getting old kind of sucks when it comes to that.
I'm 100% with you. It's granted, it is fun. Like, when we get
in the moment, it's great.
Yeah, when we get fired up in here and it's great for the fucking show and stuff like that. But the reality is when you're looking at it, like, I have some nice bourbon in here that I could very easily partake in if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have that desire to do it because I feel like a bag of smashed assholes in the fucking morning. And it's just not even just the morning. It's the entirety of the next day.
Right.
Like, it's not just one morning. It's the entire day lost of feeling like complete dog shit. And it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but we can maybe every once in a while.
Yeah, we still will partake every once in a while on the show, but I mean, I think this whole doing it every week thing, I don't think that's going to keep continuing for me.
Good on you.
I just can't. Like I said, I feel like absolute dog shit afterwards, unless I can find something that doesn't make me feel like garbage the next day. But I don't know if that's even possible.
I think Sean Roberts, if he's him or Eric, the stateside vodka apparently is infused with not the bourbon necessarily, but the vodka is infused with like electrolytes. So apparently that helps enable a quicker recovery the next day.
I'd be willing to try that.
Those guys can speak to that. But yeah,
stateside vodka.
Yeah, they sell it. I'm pretty sure the Wegmans near your wife's Costco sells it there.
I'll have to look.
If they don't, I know they sell it at the liquor store down by me.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out because that was one thing that my trainer told me too. He's like, if you're going to drink, do something like a vodka.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll give that a shot. Moving on. I talked about last week getting the waxing done.
Uh-huh.
I got the chest, the arms. The fucking hair is already starting to grow back. Like, especially on my chest and stomach. The arms, not so much, but I'm like, what the fuck? I just had this done a week ago. It's supposed to last like 4 weeks, and I'm already getting shit growing back. So,
wow.
I don't know. Maybe that's just a testament to how fucking hairy I am. And
you think it's a testament to that?
Yeah.
I mean, what else? I don't know that waxing promotes hair growth. Although I guess if it's going to grow back, it might as well grow back faster. That way you don't have to worry about like anything ingrown or anything like. Is there any concern with that?
Yeah, they actually sold me like some kind of a special lotion that's supposed to help prevent ingrown hairs. So far so good.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
It does this whenever it's told. Put the fucking lotion in the basket.
Reference the podcast last week for our Silence of the Lambs
This is the weekly Kristen tries to derail Jason with a meme text
Okay.
mid-show. Let's see if this comes up on the video.
Oh, that's great. Oh, that's like, yeah. Exclusive for the YouTube audience.
Yeah.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that like button.
Indeed. Please. We would appreciate it. All right. Last thing that I have. I've mentioned a couple of times in the show over the last 6 or 7 months that I've had this new work schedule, I guess, and this new work tempo that's been going on. In the interest of OPSEC, trying not to give too many details here.
Right.
But it's coming to an end within the next week. And thank the fucking maker, because this has been a rough 6 months. Again, trying to not really reveal too much information. I haven't really talked about it on the show, but it's been rough. Professionally, things have been a pain in my fucking ass, and thank God it's coming to an end within the next week. So after that, I'm taking some time off. Gonna just kind of relax, spend some time with the family, and we're actually not doing a show next week because of that. So for all of you watching on Monday, the March 1st,
not a leap year this year.
Yeah, not a leap year. On March 1st, we will not be having a show that week. So we're just taking the week off. We'll be back hitting the ground running the following week, but I need some me time. So I'm separating for a while. And that's that.
Good. Enjoy it. Take your time off.
Yeah, I will. And that ends my week, Dave.
So speaking of professionally, like getting into my week, we're getting this. Jason works on one side of the base, I work on the other, and our side of the base is having this major inspection this week. So
your UTI? Yeah,
my UTI. So cranberry juice for everyone. I almost said cranberry sauce. It's such a, like, it's the lead into doing these things. Like, people, obviously you're getting an inspection. Everyone that's been in the military or anything else, if you worked in retail, it's kind of like, I'll equate it to inventory. Like when they have the big major inventories and they got people coming in from corporate to look at your shit.
Yep.
Or if you think of an audit, something like that. This is what the higher headquarters people come down and they look at all your shit, right? So of course people like lose their fucking minds because they're getting ready for this. Now, this particular inspection, I'm really good at this. I'm good at the inspection thing.
Yeah. Like,
I have a proven track record from my active duty time. So I don't know if it's that or if it's the fact that I'm fucking retired. And now, granted, I'm gainfully employed by the United States government. All right. So it's not like this inspection doesn't affect me, right, but at the same time, I'm not wrapped up about it like I would have been in the past. So it's either because I'm retired, it's because of I'm a little bit older, whatever. We're ready. I mean, I wouldn't allow myself to be in a position where I'm not ready for it. But at the same time, I'm not as stressed about it. And honestly, I'll put it to, I spent that year in the Inspector General's office. So I was on the other side of these inspections, giving them. So I feel like I have an inside leg on that. But it's a lot of fucking work. It's a lot of work making sure you are ready for these things and validating your processes and doing shit like that. So I'm fucking looking forward to it. Getting on the other side of this in March. And honestly, the timeline works out good because we'll be done with our inspection and then I'll have a week where I can just
decompress. Yeah,
decompress from that.
Good.
So yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Otherwise, as I struggle every week to figure out what the fuck I did during the week, I made some shelves. I made some nice shelves that Kathy found a design for, and I knocked them together, and it was nice. It was nice because I did it on Sunday, right? And the weather wasn't complete dog shit, right? So, or was it Saturday? whichever day it was, like Saturday or Sunday, like the sun.
One of the days it was warm.
Yeah, it was like a little bit warmer. The sun was out. You know, it was kind of like, okay, I got outside. We wanted to get this. No, it was Sunday because the dog got her fucking anal glands expressed. So we did it after that. Have you never heard of this?
I don't know if I want to.
Oh my god, it's horrific.
Anal glands expressed.
So, all right, sidebar. So we've
Sounds
had
like a bad train ride.
So we had our doodle, right, who passed away this past year or in 2020, and she went to a groomer. Like you had like the nature of the doodle required grooming that you could not do at home necessarily. Not
that fucking hair,
and not unless you knew what the fuck you were doing. So she would go to a groomer, and apparently in the part of the package, it's fucking $100 every time you went to the groomer. Part of that package was they expressed the fucking anal glands. I guess like some mechanism of a fucking dog is that they have these glands right around their fucking buttholes that all get impacted with fucking anal juice. And they got to get fucking squeezed out. Yeah, it's fucking awful. So,
oh god,
yeah. And you pay people to fucking do this. There's YouTube videos. Apparently, you could do this on your own if you really wanted to.
No,
but
no,
yeah. So the dog, she had there was like a smell or like, oh, what the hell, and she keep licking her own butt, and we're like, oh, you know what, let's go and get this done. We went to the vet to have it done, and it's supposedly some dogs never have to worry about it. I remember the groomers doing it before, so I'm like, you know what, it'd almost be worth taking her to a groomer to have that fucking shit done. Because I can tell you what, right now, I'm not fucking doing that.
No, fuck that.
It sounds awful, and the poor dog just hates going to the vet. Yeah. Like, because every time she goes to the vet, it's some fucking trauma. The chocolate issue, like when it made her throw up, all and we went. She was having something with her eye. So it was fucking awful. So yeah, anal glands expressed. That happened this week. But after that I went to Home Depot, bought some lumber and made some shelves, and they came out good.
It was good. Sounds like a good balance to your weekend.
Yeah. We were sitting in the car. Kathy and I were sitting in the car waiting for the dog to get out after having her anal gland squeezed. It just sounds awful. The
only thing I can picture is like having a hemorrhoid and somebody just coming up and
well, if they went up and in to do it, apparently there's insertion. Like you have to get up in there to get this fucking happen.
Christ.
Yeah,
do they give the dog dinner beforehand?
No, I don't think so. Well, I think they try, but I think the dogs are smart enough to know, like, I don't want this dinner. Like, if you're gonna do this to me, I don't want it. No means no. So, yeah, anal glands. Sunday was a packed day. Anal glands.
No pun intended.
We went anal glands, then we went. I built some shelves, and then I watched the Flyers get their ass handed to them last night. The hockey team, and Dave Schmuck knows what I'm talking about. So I'm watching the pre-games because they do this like outdoor thing, right? Where they have they basically build a hockey rink outside. They've done it in stadiums. Flyers played the Bruins in Fenway Park. They've done it against the Penguins in Citizen Bank Park. It's a thing. It's a way to get. In normal times, you could have like a bigger stadium. I think they've done it in the University of Michigan. They've done it at the Big House. Yeah. So it's a whole thing, but because of COVID, like this, it was in Lake Tahoe. I mean, you're familiar with that area, right? And so they had this. It was right on the lake. They had this hockey rink built, so it was really cool. I had the sunset the whole bit, but they're leading into this thing, right? And they're like showing this commercial that they filmed, and they're like, oh, in the year in the 2000 All-Star game, they filmed this commercial, right? Mm-hmm. And it had like Wayne Gretzky and Gordie Howe and like a couple people, and they were doing this interaction with like Eric Lindros and Jaromir Jagr and a couple of like at the time they were like the all-stars, talking between generations. So I'm watching this, and it took a good 30 seconds for it to register in my head that this fucking video is 21 years old. Like, because 2000, right? Which in my mind, and probably every fucking Gen Xer that is alive right now, in our minds, 2000 is like,
that's new.
Yeah,
it just happened.
Like, this is the tooth. We're in the 2000s. Like, it still feels new.
Yeah.
But at 21 fucking years ago, they put this commercial together, and like it looked terrible. It was like it was a little bit grainy. Like, so this is predate. You figure by 2000, we still weren't really fucking didn't have our shit together with HD, right? Excuse me. Fucking Eric Lindros, he was kind of at the. I thought Eric Lindros was done playing by 2000. Apparently, they were still playing. Like, it just blew my fucking mind, because I mean, you were still in the military in 2000, right? You were getting ready to get out. So I had been in the military. I'd already started the gig that I ended up retiring out of. So like, none of these dates register for me as much as they did right in that fucking moment. 30 seconds after they fucking said 2000, and it took that long for it to register with me that was 21 fucking years ago.
Jesus.
And you know what? You hear from people like, well, that's how time works. Like, but just think about it for a fucking second. Think about it for a hot fucking second. Like, especially if you were born in the fucking 70s right now. Like, how 2 decades ago, like September 11th this year is going to be like, it's going to be.
This is going to be the 20th.
It's the 20th anniversary of fucking September 11th. And
holy shit,
there was a kid in the fucking squadron the other day, 18-year-old kid.
Born after
9/11. Yeah, after 9/11. And it was actually, I think it was a military.com article talking about how soldiers that weren't born when the towers stood, basically. That's
wild.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I don't know if it's, we talk about all the time how this generation and how we've kind of been through certain phases of technology. And I would imagine that because we've made these leaps in technology, that other generations are going to be able to look back like we are right now. It's just crazy. So yeah, that fucking realization hit me like a goddamn ton of bricks. So they started with anal glands expressing, not mine, the dog's, and then build some nice shelves, and then realize how fucking old I am. Oh yeah, and on Friday I got my first COVID shot.
Right, we didn't really talk the next day. I know you said you were already starting to feel like shit that night.
So I did. I got the Pfizer shot,
right, which I got the Moderna,
right, and allegedly the Pfizer one's supposed to be better as far as the after effects.
Well, because I guess they inject you with less shit.
Is that what it is?
Apparently Moderna, they'd like pump you full of the fucking.
My arm still hurt. Like, you made that correlation with the typhoid shot. I think it was worse actually, because it was still hurting up to Sunday morning.
Yeah. Like,
I was still, having discomfort. The day of the shot, I started to feel like kind of like flu-like symptoms. And then I woke up the next morning and my arm was sore. I was a little bit tired, had a headache.
The headache was a big one. Yeah.
But that was it, and by midday it was almost nothing. So it was, and honestly, let's face it, most people aside from you didn't really have that much of a reaction to the first shot.
Yeah.
So in a couple of weeks I get my second shot, and then we'll be the From a Gen X Point of View podcast will be fully vaccinated.
Yes.
And we'll be able to go out and conquer the fucking world.
Yep. We gave each other COVID, and then
that's right.
Soon we're going to be vaccinated.
We'll be fully vaccinated. COVID. So, and that's it.
All right.
The irony is that everything I just talked about really was just this weekend. I couldn't tell you what the fuck happened last week.
Yeah.
I just thought I should take notes.
I'm kind of in the same boat. It's, my work week, especially. It's work, gym, sleep.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
especially when it's fucking monochrome outside. Like literally with the snow on the fucking ground, you're looking out the window and it's legit. The sky and the ground are the same fucking color,
Yeah.
right? It's just so awful. I can't fucking wait until it gets warm. I would probably say this every single fucking winter, but god damn it, I hate it. I fucking hate it.
No, I'm right there with you. And maybe some light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting into the 50s one day this week, so hooray!
Yeah, hey, maybe some of the snow will actually fucking disappear.
Yeah,
there's fuckers in Michigan and up in northeastern PA are like,
oh, they're fun.
Stop fucking crying about your fucking 2-3 inches of snow, but we can, and I will, because fuck the snow.
Yeah, apparently in Texas, because you know how Texas got fucked.
Holy shit,
over the last week. They had a complete swing from like 0 to like 70 degrees.
Dude, can we talk about if you're a listener from Texas right now, I feel for you. Yeah. I do. I mean, I remember in basic training we had a fucking ice storm that shut down San Antonio. Wasn't near anything close to what they just had, right? Did you see the articles about how the electric companies now people were getting bills in the tens of thousands of dollars?
What?
Yeah, because demand peaked. So like they had all this demand on the net, and the way that their infrastructure is set up, like everything's internal, right? So Texas wanted to be independent from the rest of the country's energy sources. So when their grids started to fail because they were given money to improve their infrastructure, they took that as profit, never fucking improved their infrastructure. Ooh. And so these power generators, as soon as they fucking got that cold, all shit the bed. Yeah. So that's why they were all losing power. The power companies were like, okay, this demand is so high, they increased the fucking rates based on demand.
Are you shitting
me? Yeah.
Me?
So there was an article, it was in USA Today that I was reading yesterday, that it was talking about how one person got a $17,000 fucking electric bill. There was another one that's talking about how it was costing $1,000 a day. Like, fuck you. Just fuck you. What the fuck do you think you're going to do that? And, Bronco Fett's in there talking about Boise is weather, but here's the thing with Texas. They want so badly to be this fucking independent, right? They wanted energy independence. They didn't want to be tied to the rest of the country and their net. Mm-hmm. It shits the bed because of the weather. And it was from the power company, they could go in there and protect their equipment to make sure that something like this wouldn't happen. Mm. They decided not to because, what is this, a once in a fucking 40-year storm or something like that? Right. So they fucking gambled and lost. The bitch of it is now there's going to be fucking, it's declared this natural disaster, so they get federal funding. So Texas decides, hey, we don't want to participate with the rest of the country in their fucking power grid. Mm-hmm. But when it shits the bed and they need it, now they're fucking going to the federal government for help. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, look, we know a lot of people that when they fucking retired, they moved down to Texas because it is very military friendly down there. Mm-hmm. And I feel for every one of them that had to go through that. And, maybe you would hope that after this, and it's like, all right, well, fuck. At gunpoint, they're going to have to fucking improve their infrastructure. Right. But at the same time, is like the idea that, oh, by the way, because we have this ultra competition in the state for your power needs, now they can regulate that fucking megawatt hour to the point where you're going to end up paying thousands of dollars. Yeah. It's just fucking insane.
Yeah, that part's fucked up. So, yeah, fuck those guys. Sorry, Texans. I know a lot of people in Texas, a lot of family down there. So, mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. It really does. But I think that Texas level of independence and the giant middle fingers that they like to give to the rest of the country kind of bit them in the ass on this one.
Well, yeah, because that can be a double-edged sword. Yeah. If you go that route, then you damn sure better make sure that they are not going to fucking turn around and fuck you in the end. Like
Yeah.
that's that double-edged sword of capitalism, right?
Mhm.
You know, a lot of good things have come out of capitalism, but in this profit-driven world, sometimes they will not be looking out for the best interest of the customer in order to make a profit.
They're going to gamble. And and let's face it, that's probably every utility company at some point is gambling on one thing or another. But yeah, sometimes you gamble and you lose. Anyway, yeah, poor bastards.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, that being said, I think we're going to take a quick break before we get into our main topic.
Yes, we should do that.
And we will do it and be right back after this word from our sponsors.
You didn't hold up the sign. Oh. It's not official unless you hold up the sign.
Hold on. You're right. Been slacking. It's been an off week.
It's because you're not eating food. You're eating.
I am eating food. I'm just eating the same bland
You're
food.
Eating fuel. You're not eating food.
It's fucking red potatoes, chicken, Brussels sprouts, eggs. That's my diet.
Repeat.
A lot of that every day. Oh yeah, there's an avocado in there, protein powder, but that's it. That's my life now.
Sounds terrible. They have no idea about northern temps. Well, see, and here's the thing, like, somebody mentioned, prepping for it, and honestly, like, the idea that you're moving to Texas and you're going to have to deal with several inches of, like, deal with the weather and winter weather enough where it's going to, you don't think it's going to knock out your power. It's kind of, think about it. I think about it like in Maine, right? You go up to Maine and they don't have air conditioning, right? You get, most places up there don't have air conditioning because it doesn't get that warm, comparatively. So you may have a little bit of warmth in the summer where you need a fan, like, to get air moving around. But for the most part, you're prepared for fucking winter. Same thing with Texas, right? And you're down in Texas and you're prepared for warmer weather. And it's when it gets fucking ridiculous and cold with snow, the expectation is, okay, well, I fucking have to, you get pissed on a little bit.
Yeah, it snow's melting outside.
You have this expectation of you're going to turn on your heater. You have electric heat because hardly ever use it, but you turn on a heater, that'd be fine. But when there's no electricity because your electric company decided, is like, oh, you know what, this money that they said for fucking making sure that this wind farm isn't going to freeze over, we're going to put that over here. We're going to keep that and gain interest on that, and we'll it's never going to get that cold, and then it does. So individual Texans in their homes that have fucking electric heat, that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
So anyway, I gotta pee. Oh my god.
So I gotta answer a text. Yeah. So anyway, I wonder how many people down there have generators, because obviously they don't get snow and shit. But I kind of wonder, they do get thunderstorms and things like that. I would imagine they still lose power on occasion. Like, I have a generator now, so if we lose power, we can still, power a little bit of the house and have some kind of heat. But yeah, of course we have a fireplace too, so that helps. Which that happened one year. This was like 3 or 4 years ago. We had a pretty bad winter storm. It was like snow and it knocked out power, and we just had to use our fireplace.
Oddly satisfying that the drain or the gutter, draining out there. Did you notice it was like?
Oh yeah,
it's nice. We're talking about putting a wood stove in our house, like a pellet stove.
It's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably. I don't know. I'd love to have a fireplace, like a no-kidding fireplace, but I think a wood burning stove would be better. I think aesthetically, and you can. I just have this vision of like this wood burning stove and be able to take a pot of water and putting it on the top of it so that water kind of evaporates. Like you have like this humidifier effect happening. Like, cause that's the worst part of the like forced air heat. It's so dry. Everything just so dry, fucking skin cracks. And yep. I don't have this fucking magic oil that the wax people gave you to keep yourself all slickery.
Well, and then I just put normal lotion on top of it. Once it dries, like I put it on, it dries, and then I just lotion myself up. Bought like this massive pack of Lubriderm from Costco. So I've got fucking lotion bottles everywhere. I've got one in my locker at work. I've got one in my gym bag. I've got one at my desk. So I'm always keeping myself lubricated.
Awesome.
So I don't want to be ashy.
Yeah. Dude, did I tell you about I have one elbow that's fucking like
no.
This elbow.
Just your right elbow?
Just this fucking elbow.
Only gets ashy?
Yeah.
I wonder
why one elbow. I mean, this arm does too, but like it's just this bit. Everything else, no, perfectly fine.
I wonder if I'm trying to think of like, would it be like the vehicle you drive in, or like the way you drive, like you only lean against your right side?
No, because I mostly lean on the left. If I'm leaning at all,
that's true.
And the irony is, especially when I'm driving, like because I drove stick for so many years. Like I keep my hand on the shift column, like on the thing. So like that's where my arm rests. It doesn't actually rest on the armrest. And even when it's on the armrest, it would be on this part of my arm, not the elbow.
Yeah, sure.
It's fucking weird.
That's weird. Just one ashy elbow.
One ashy elbow. Just because. Why not?
Yeah. All right. We about ready to get back to it. Like getting a shitload of
TMI. Lubriderm everywhere. Oh, we gotta get the 30 seconds going again.
Yeah. I turned off the heater this time. That's what the fuck was for at the beginning. I realized, just as our countdown was almost over, that this loud heater was on. Yeah, so creating that ambient noise.
We're sitting here in silence, and then like I see Jason just kind of look at it.
It's like, fuck.
Are you ready?
I am. And we're back. So, Mars, bitches.
Yeah.
That's where we are going. That's where we are.
That's where we are. Well, and we are for like the fucking, fifth or more time.
Right. Go back to our actual Mars episode where we talked about all of the different missions that we've sent to Mars. This is not the first rover. This is the first helicopter. Yes. The first air vehicle that we've sent to Mars.
I think it's important to distinguish that the technology that we're talking about, like they start, you had the Curiosity rover that was already on Mars that we talked about in our Mars episode, right? Mm-hmm. And this Perseverance rover was built on basically that Curiosity chassis. However, it has all these different science upgrades. The technology is almost a decade better. Because it takes like a decade to fucking get these things from start to finish. It takes a long time.
Right, because the planning phases of this one, Perseverance, started around 2013.
Yeah.
So that's a long time ago.
Yeah. So
and they already had, like you said, like that chassis, that base already set up.
They knew what they were going to use, and then to start developing the science and everything. And what was really interesting, I know we're gonna play the video. And so we could talk about the video a little bit. But what I found interesting when I watched the press conference today, right? Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, did you see it? Like, did you watch it live? I can't remember if you had watched it live or
We're talking the actual landing?
The actual landing.
I did. And we'll kind of talk about that as we get into it. But yes, I did watch it live. There were some hiccups in there that we'll get to. But yeah,
it's the idea that this particular lander, from a technological standpoint, it has fucking cameras. We're able to see things like that we've never seen it before. Mm-hmm. The fucking helicopter, And then it's the follow-on mission that this rover is designed for as well.
Right.
Is what makes it so unique. It's not just, hey, let's plan another fucking thing on the surface just for shits and giggles.
Right. And yeah, and let's expand on that too. Like the whole purpose of this program is to essentially study the potential existence of water on the surface of Mars, and also microbial life.
Yeah. So what they're doing is they landed at this particular delta, right? The Jezero. I think it's Jezero.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'm mispronouncing it, but they're landed this particular delta where it looks like that if this crater, the Jezero crater, was filled at one point with water,
right?
And there was this delta where, historically, based on the studies that they've done comparatively to other things, they should be able to find evidence of microbial life within the delta that they're in the rocks and studies. So this mission is going to go and drill, like do coring to get samples to see, like, it's kind of like other rovers have like picked dirt up and done samples with it. This is going to be the first time they're going to dig down, take a coring sample to be able to analyze.
Mm-hmm. With the intent of, I think by 2030, they want to land another craft on Mars next to this, pick up that sample, and bring it back to Earth.
Basically, land a rocket on Mars so that rocket can take back off with this fucking sample and bring it back to Earth.
Which I think they have contracted Airbus out to build that rocket that's going to go out, try to retrieve that sample, and then bring it back. So
yeah, it's fascinating, and it really goes to show, like, let's talk for a second that what we got to see today at their press conference with the videos and everything else is the kind of stuff where, you know, if you're not into, you don't have to be into NASA, you don't have to be into astronomy or anything else, but this idea that we were able to be so present in the moment for something that was happening, 300, what is?
I think it's 200 million miles away.
200, 300 million miles away, something like that.
It varies.
So, and something that when we were watching it, like watching the video live, the idea that, like, you're watching it, it already happened by the time you saw it,
right?
Because it takes,
and we'll get to that too when we get to like watching it live.
But yeah, it was fucking. It's just absolutely, it's stunning. It's just stunning to be at this point where we can be so present with this particular thing.
Yeah, because I mean, this is, again, like I said, even though we've been to Mars, we've put other rovers on Mars. This is unprecedented, some of the things that we've done this time around, especially with the video and everything else.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to read one little thing on this. So we talked that development started in 2013. I was really curious about how much this cost, because I'm like, this can't be fucking cheap. So I found this little blurb. NASA plans to invest roughly $2.8 billion in the Mars 2020 mission. That's what Perseverance is, the Mars 2020 mission.
Right.
Over 10 years, spending nearly $2.2 billion on the development of Perseverance rover, $80 million on Ingenuity, the helicopter, $243 million for launch services. That's basically getting it up, like, in the air and out to Mars. $296 million for 2.5 years of mission operations, which I'm sure a lot of that is just the paychecks of all of these engineers and operators, because those guys ain't working for fucking free.
Yeah, and you have the mission controllers basically that are living on Mars time. I think you have all the engineers that are working on this program are already starting to work on the next program, right? So when you see these press conferences and you got these people that have been involved in all of the landings, it's basically gone concurrently. It's like, okay, we're working on this one, then I'm going to work on this one, then we're going to this one. And you have mission controllers that are literally living on Mars time, which is 40 minutes longer than an Earth day.
Right.
So it just is like this crazy schedule, because they call them souls.
Yeah.
So, however many souls they get by. it's a bargain. It's a fucking like maybe it's because we work in the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
But $2.5 billion for something like this doesn't strike me as being that much.
No, in the grand scheme of things, it's really not.
I mean, it's a big number. I mean, let's not get it.
Well, and let's look at it in the context of something else going on today. They're still trying to pass this stimulus bill, $1.9 trillion.
Yeah.
So this is nothing compared to that.
Yeah, and this is money that is spread out over the course of a decade.
Right.
Like this isn't like a one-time, one-shot Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from maybe the rocket development, because they have to, the stages of development that this goes in, they're probably getting funding lines all along that route. Like, if you follow the Apollo program at all, like each milestone, they would have to basically prove themselves to fucking Congress about like, okay, these are the milestones we're reaching. Keep finding us funding.
Yes.
And this is kind of the same thing. And what we're seeing today is going to be that. To me, that's a fucking nobody can sit there and fucking say like this is not fucking cool.
Mm-hmm. And it launched on July 30th of last year, and it completed its long fucking journey on February 18th, which was this last Thursday.
Yep.
So why don't we start from the beginning? Let's first talk about our impressions watching the live stream on landing day.
Yeah.
And like, how much did you watch? I'll tell you how much I watched.
I watched it from this beginning of coverage until
because coverage started like hours and hours ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like I started about 2 hours ahead of time.
Thursday here in New Jersey area, there was forecasted weather. So they had already told us that we're teleworking.
Okay.
Like on Wednesday. So I knew that on Thursday I was going to have the opportunity to have it like on my desktop when it started. And that's exactly what I did. I even was in a meeting that was starting to run into the time frame where I was just like, all right, look, I gotta watch the fucking Mars landing. So
You said that
go. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. So
nice.
I had that unique opportunity because I was already home. I was able to get a nice lot of bandwidth because we're bandwidth restricted on the base.
Oh yeah, no, it sucks.
So you can't necessarily stream anything, even though I don't even think they let you go to YouTube anyway.
I couldn't even get onto a fucking military website today. I kept having to reload. Never got it to work. Still have my fucking leave web request pending in there because it's in draft because it won't let me fucking submit because the fucking internet that the Air Force uses is dog shit.
There's so much overhead for security,
right?
Which
basically makes it practically unusable.
Yeah.
Which it's like, well, why do we even have this then?
Yeah. Oh no, but we have to push everything to it. And oh, by the way, make sure you're using things like Teams and stuff like that. This non-commercial products.
Oh yeah,
that you can possibly use. Anyway,
don't even get me started on that.
Yeah.
So all right,
it's a fucking miracle that we can talk to this thing on fucking Mars with only an 11-minute delay when we can't fucking get into leave web on the fucking base.
So
anyway,
I was in the same boat actually because we had that weather coming in Thursday, and out of the blue, my supervisor pulls me aside towards the end of the day on Wednesday. He's like, "Do you have anything you need to be here for on Thursday?" I'm like, not really. Just got a couple of meetings and whatever else. He's like, "All right, well, feel free to work from home that day." I'm like, shit, okay. That's never happened at my workplace before. Right. So I'm like, fucking, I will do that. So I actually got to watch the coverage as well.
Awesome. And it was to me watching it, they had the person who was doing the commentary inside. First of all, this Villanueva chick that they have, that's like that. I guess she's their like the PA person,
right?
Like, dark hair, Hispanic girl. There's a handful of fucking broads at NASA that they've been parading on TV that are like, wow, holy shit. Like not the typical, like, these are what scientists look like types. But anyway, I digress. When they kind of went to here's the here's the person in mission control that was kind of like calling out all the stuff as it was getting
see,
in.
that's when I started paying more attention. But and that started happening maybe like an hour and a half before.
Yeah, they hit a couple milestones, and then they had like this dude in there that he was I forget his involvement in the program, but he was one of the program people that got to be there.
Yeah,
and they had him in a separate room, right? And the excitement in that guy's voice, right? He was so like each milestone as it was approaching, you could the anticipation. Like, because he obviously was personally invested in this, so it wasn't like some talking head at a fucking news desk, right? You're talking to some engineer scientist type who had direct involvement in it, who was so fucking excited and so nervous, like you couldn't help but fucking be wrapped into it,
right?
Like that's the only way I want to see anything like this from this point forward. I will never go to a fucking media network to fucking watch shit like this.
And that was the thing, like when it was before that coverage started, when it was like the fluff and the the media stuff, I just kind of had it on in the background. But as soon as they flipped over to where you just were in mission control and you just heard all of their comms, I'm like, ooh, I like this.
There was a separate JPL feed that's all they had,
right? And I think that's what I was watching.
I think I had both up there because I wanted to see if there was any difference, and like one was slightly ahead of the other, so I just turned one of them off. I forget which one.
Right.
But there was a little bit of a timing thing there based on how it was hitting YouTube. But
as part of that, like I know for me, like it felt very familiar too because they ran it very military like.
Checklists.
Yeah, it was very methodical in all of their preparation and all their communications and the way they talked. There was some fun in there. They were having fun with it at times up until the point where you got close to I think it was like after the hour mark. Like anything under the hour mark, they told people like, all right, go and take your last piss break because
I think it was deliberately at like there was a 45-minute mark where they basically said that like, okay, everyone's going to be at their stations. It's game faces time, and it got because it was getting to a point where they were basically switching off the input from Earth. Like, okay, everything that you're doing right now is all going to be based on this internal software,
right? Because like you said, at the speed of light from Earth to fucking Mars, it still takes 11 minutes for a one-way signal.
Right.
So anybody who has these visions of people like controlling this all the way to the point where it's landing on Mars, no, this shit's all automated at that point.
And that to me, like there's so many aspects of this that are just would make me so fucking anxiety ridden that
I was nervous all day.
Yeah. For these poor fucking engineers, they're like, okay, if there one line of code got fucked up where this particular pyro doesn't go off, then the whole thing is fucked. Right. The whole thing is fucked.
Yeah.
So you got to be sitting at your table going like Tom and Jerry style, fucking chewing on your nails and shit. Like,
because they have what they call the 7 minutes of terror,
right?
Which is it enters the atmosphere. You've got the heat shield, right? You've got that moment where the heat shield is dissipating all that fucking heat of it going into the atmosphere. That's the first big thing, and you got to pray like that holds up and doesn't fry anything inside. And then you have the separation part. Then you have the free fall. Then the fucking parachute, and then that other device, the sky crane, yeah. And like I'm picturing once the parachute drops or the parachute goes, but it's still got like the thrusters and stuff that like one just accidentally fires too much and just whoo, and it just like does a barrel roll and just fucking crashes into the ground.
Yeah, and you hear them on the call outs too. Like so when they were talking about obviously when the chute opened, because that's fucking each fucking milestone that they hit, they're like this is like little cheer going up.
Yeah,
and like I said, the dude that they had doing the side commentary as opposed to what's her? I think her name is Sorry something.
The lady that was kind of running the whole thing.
Like she was doing a voiceover and telling you all the steps that were happening.
Yeah,
like she again, she's not a talking head. She's one of the engineers that was a part of the working in JPL. So you have him, the excitement level of him, and they're running the checklist and everything else. And you heard them slip a little bit too, like when they were talking about the touchdown and hitting certain parts of the checklist. You could hear like the excitement in the mission controller's voice too. And I'll tell you, man, it was nerve-wracking because I think we joked at one point. We were like, oh, it's kind of like watching NASCAR, like you're waiting for the crash. But
Right.
I think I would have been like, I would have had some personal level of like being upset
Oh, I'd have been devastated. Yeah.
by
If this had gone wrong.
Yeah. And again, having no vested interest in it whatsoever, aside from just like, it being this is a huge fucking thing. It's a huge thing for humanity.
Yes. And I was just going to say that. Like, I think people don't really realize how important this kind of shit is. Like, most people, I'm sorry to say, just they kind of blow the shit off. They're like, oh, that's cool. Oh, we said a thing there. It's like, you have no fucking clue how incredible this fucking feat is.
And listen, even during the Apollo program, like there were points of the Apollo program where people were tired of going to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea that we had made going to the moon and normalized it to the point where the public was like, yeah, oh, whatever, it just, we went to the moon today. Okay, didn't we do that before? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like the idea that that's how the American people were at one point.
Yeah. Now
it doesn't surprise me.
Right. But to be fair, I think this one, more than any of the previous rovers, have gotten quite a bit of attention, at least in the news media. And I know I'm seeing Facebook posts from people who, I've never had a single astronomy or space exploration conversation with in my life. And they're posting stuff on Facebook like, oh, the rover landed on Mars. So
I think we have to 100%, the credit for this has to go to social media.
Yeah.
Because we're so connected to what's going on with these things at real time.
Mm.
Whereas I think even before NASA was I mentioned it before, they didn't want to necessarily air their disasters,
right?
For lack of a better term. Like they didn't want their mistakes to be fucking out there in the public. They would just wanted the public to see the successes.
Mm.
But I think this instance, like, okay, this is a different world we're living in. And especially with COVID, more people are connected to try and get outside of their world through their phones and through social media. So, and this was something that was happening that, it's hard to believe it even happened with COVID. Like, how do you make an engineering feat like this happen with social distancing and everything else?
Yeah.
And then doing something like this in that environment with everybody be able to watch it. Like if without social media, without NASA's basically saying like, no, here it is. Here's everything we're doing. Here's all the steps. There used to be state secrets.
Yeah.
Going, doing anything, orbital.
Yeah. And it's like we talked about in our last Mars episode, when we landed those first two rovers on Mars back in the early 2000s, didn't hear a thing about it until after they were already on the planet. They're like, oh, hey, by the way, we landed these things on Mars that we've been working on for God knows how many years.
Yeah. Like, oh, wow. Yeah.
This one was quite different. Real quick, pivoting back to the viewing experience. I really loved, there was a point probably about half an hour out where a couple of heads of different departments or sections kind of gave like these like speeches, basically saying, hey, you guys fucking kicked ass. Great work on all of this, no matter what happens. I'm super proud of you. And just like real moving speeches. I think like two people gave speeches like that. It was awesome. And again, made me feel like very military like.
Yeah. Like, yeah, we're publicly, this is what we're going to say, because, everyone, if any failure at any given point is as devastating as it would feel for us, you can't imagine what it would be for them.
Yeah.
How discouraging it would be. But going into it also with, you talk about managing expectations, right? Their NASA and what they do with space flight is the ultimate in like checks and balances, with making sure that everything that they put up there has, like, it's not over engineering is not a real thing for them. It's like, okay, what can we do to absolutely to make sure that this is the most secure it can be, make sure it's going to work,
right?
And he's in the absolute fucking worst conditions possible. And they go through all these tests and they do all this engineering. And what's amazing about Mars and the stuff that's going on Mars is this idea that you don't you can't simulate it.
Right.
You can't simulate any of that. It's not like in zero gravity where you can do underwater stuff and kind of see how things work in the, with the flotation. I mean, you can do limited stuff in the vomit com and shit like that, but like simulating the Mars environment with the dust, with the cold back and forth. Like I can cold soak a piece of equipment to see how it's going to work, and I could fucking heat that piece of equipment up. I can make sure it starts and stops and does all the things. You ever been down to Goddard? The Goddard Space Center?
No.
It's just outside the Beltway down in Maryland. Helmet fire. Chad Vickers, we were talking about this during this whole thing. Like, I got the opportunity to go to Goddard with somebody who used to work there, so it was a really, really good tour. But you can go there and take the tour, and you get to, like, Goddard's where the Hubble was built, and where they're building the James Webb Telescope.
Oh, so, yeah, I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, so that all that stuff is like they build that at Goddard. They have these giant vacuum chambers that they'll fucking they put equipment into to simulate the vacuum of space, and they'll simulate a fucking the atmosphere that they can control with temperature and everything else. And they also have they have these giant speakers in there to fucking vibrate the shit out of it to try and simulate like launch conditions. So they're like using sound waves to fucking vibrate the shit. And they do it right down in Maryland. They put all this shit together. So really, really cool. Yeah, there's Dutch. Yeah, really cool. It's one of those things. Once COVID's over, we have to put together like a little field trip down there. And go down and try and get the good tour. Especially that telescope. When is that one supposed to launch? Because that's like way behind schedule, right? I think it's soon. What is it called again? James Webb Telescope. James Webb Telescope. And yeah, they have one of the largest clean rooms too in the world at Goddard. Yeah, October 31st, Halloween. Yeah, this year. That's right, this year. So it's the idea that you could go there and take a tour, right? And this is you have to like really appreciate I think for us, like, because we were electronics guys, right? We kind of have this idea of how all this stuff works, right? We can look at a Canon plug and recognize it, right? Yeah. You can appreciate a wire bundle and how neatly it's tied and safety wire and shit like that, right? Right. So like when we're looking at pictures of the fucking Perseverance rover, like these first shots and stuff like that, that's the shit I'm looking at. I'm looking at like how this fucking wire was run for this Canon plug, and shit like that. And then when you go to a place like Goddard and you're seeing things that are being put together, right, in these clean rooms that are going to go onto a fucking rocket to get launched. Fun sidebar. Kate's boyfriend, Ryan, he actually, like, he's this physics doctoral candidate, right, at Penn State. And he was doing something this weekend. They were like cold testing circuit boards or some shit like that. But he actually worked on a project that actually ended up on a rocket that launched out of Wallops. Oh, no shit. Yeah. So it was a cool thing he gets to put on his resume. Nice. But yeah, Wallops launched. They had a launch this weekend, actually, or the cargo resupply for the International Space Station. Oh, I do remember seeing something about that. Yeah. That shit happens right here, like within a 4-hour drive of where we're sitting. Like, we can go and see this stuff, which is fucking phenomenal. I forget how we got started on that, but the putting the things together, I don't remember. Yeah, I think it started with the speeches. Everybody giving the speeches, like, guys. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that's obviously the way we're going. So I had a funny situation arise as I'm watching this. Like, right as we're about to get into the 7 minutes of terror, this is probably like 10 minutes from touchdown, Kristen decides to start an argument with me. And I spend the next 3 minutes trying to quickly get past this so I can watch the rest of the fucking launch. It almost got really bad. And I just got to the point where I need to watch this. We'll talk about this later. So that's funny. It's like right as like the shit was just starting to get real. She decided this is a good time to air some grievances. And that's great. Yeah. So Kathy was at work, so I had the place to myself. I didn't have any such distractions.
Yeah, so that was fun, but I was able to eventually like put that off, and I got the focus for the final phases, and it was, like you said, it was exciting. Like every new milestone, the heat shield. They talked about how they were detecting the temperatures on that, and then the heat shield released, which we're going to talk about the video of that later. But each milestone, like you said, you could feel the excitement, and then the parachute deployed, and it all seemed to happen so fast.
Yeah,
for something that was just in the fucking atmosphere of the planet a few minutes ago, now was just about to touch down.
Yeah, because at the hour mark, they were talking about how it was like, I want to say it was at like 30,000 kilometers away from Mars.
Yeah,
and it was like an hour out. I was like, I feel like that's cutting it kind of close, or like trying to conceptualize a distance like that and how fast this thing is traveling, and then like do all that. Like, Dutch is listening right now. He's in a fucking, doing orbital mechanics for the fucking school.
Nice.
Or no, I think he's doing space weather right now.
Space weather.
But yeah, it's like the, I fucking lost my train of thought.
Everything was happening very fast.
Very fast. Yeah. And like from inside that hour, like you were talking about, it just seemed like all of a sudden it was like, all right, it's deorbiting, and now this is this, and all that shit happened. Fucking.
And then they had this visual, like a CG representation of what was going on. Because again, I think some people were under the impression, because they did mention ahead of time, cameras, you're going to get to see some of this stuff. I think people were under the belief that they were going to get to watch the video of this live, which obviously not the case. But they had this good CG representation of everything as it was going, the heat shield and then the parachute and all that. And then like it was all of a sudden like, boom, touchdown confirmed. And it's like, whoa. And then everybody like fucking just goes crazy in that control room.
Yeah. And you couldn't help but be swept up in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Very emotional.
Yeah.
And then when the first pictures came through, like a minute later, they're like pointing at the camera, they're like, oh my God, look. And it was that first picture of the cap covered the camera.
What were the EVF cameras for the I forget what the fuck they were called, but they were basically the cameras to make sure it doesn't fucking run over anything.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, oh yeah, here, not only did it land, but here's proof. Here's the fucking Martian surface. And, the thing's intact enough where you can fucking at least get these pictures. I think what was really interesting too, you talk about the 7 minutes of terror, how much they used other orbital objects to fucking help track this.
Yes.
Like the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, MRO.
Yeah.
That they were using that as the, to relay signals. Like, okay, the MRO has it picked up so that it's still tracking telemetry at that point where it went calm out, and it was just giving what they called the heartbeat, so it was just basically giving this pulse to say, hey, I'm still alive. And that's all they had to go by, for a good long while. And that's where you could like hear the people's voices just like, oh shit, okay, well, it's still alive.
Yeah.
Excuse me, it didn't crash into the fucking surface, so that's still good, I guess.
And you make a good point with that orbiter that's out there, because one of the first images that we got back, I'm sure you've seen it, was that far off shot of Mars, but then you zoom into this one little section and you can see the fucking parachute. Yeah, and the lander on there, and it's like, whoa. Yeah, and
there's some other really good shots that the orbiter has. I don't know if you got to see those.
No,
of the landing area. So we'll try and bring that up when we look at this other stuff.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I thought I heard this. I thought I heard somebody say this like right after the touchdown happened, that they landed like 35 meters from their intended target.
5 meters.
Holy
5
shit.
meters. Yeah, so they had this landing system that was used radar, and it had a decision matrix built into it that it would select the best possible landing area based on what the returns it was getting. Like it was actually, I think it was a remote visual landing system or something like that. You figure I would remember this. I've seen it fucking 50 times already. But they basically use a system to look at the ground, say, okay, this is the best spot for us to go, and then use those those rockets to fire and maneuver themselves into that proper position so that it was 5 meters.
That's insane.
That's what they said today, 5 meters.
So just to put that in perspective, they're going to launch something from Earth to a planet 250 million miles away. Not only get there intact, but they're going to hit a point within 5 fucking meters of where they want to hit.
Yeah.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant engineering.
It's just it's fucking insanity. It's absolute. It's insanity. You know, I don't know how else to describe it.
Yep. So you got some pictures for us?
Well, I want to watch the video.
Okay.
Let's play the video of the
because this came out today.
Yeah.
At a press conference at about 2 p.m. this afternoon.
Yeah. So I took a sick day today because I had doctor's appointments and stuff. So I was able to be home for the 1400 that was today. So I got to see the entire press conference. Like I saw it from soup to nuts. And I will say at the beginning of this press conference where they were so excited to just like, all right, we know you want to see this video. We've watched it so many times. Then they were so excited and they waited till that press conference to play the video. And then they released like 1,000 images onto their raw images. So there's a whole lot of images that are back. They said they got back in total, I think something like 3,200 images they got over the weekend.
Sweet.
Which is amazing to think about because the passes, they're having to transmit this from the rover up to one of the orbiting bodies, like either their MRO or one the ESA has orbiters up there as well. But so basically, as they were making this pass, they're getting like 80 megabytes at a shot. You know, it's like there's this very limited bandwidth.
It's a long process
getting these high def pictures, but it was.
And the fact that we got this video, back.
I tell you, like when we were talking about doing this episode, I'm like, man, they're having this 1400 press conference. They know they took video. We should have a video by Monday. And gotten yes, we got it.
Timing worked out perfectly.
Yep. So I don't know. Are they going to hear the sound if I play this?
Probably.
All right. Well, if it's too loud or something, because we're not going to hear this in the room. So I'll pause at points where I feel like it's appropriate. Ready? We're going to do this. And then let's do that.
All right. So right now we're just looking at the control room.
Yeah. So it's I want to say her name is Sari. Sorry.
Yeah.
Really, I'll know it by the end of this. So
so that's the parachute deploying. This is a real-time video, HD, of the fucking parachute deploying.
Right. So this is at what they say, it's 20 or 30 kilometers of altitude. Something I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
They're basically this the entirety of the spacecraft right now is moving at 1.75 Mach.
Yeah.
Right. So
fucking crazy. So
they're launching this. The guy described what's actually happening right here. So this, if you can see here with my pointer, like this is the parachute.
Yeah.
And it was compressed to the point it weighed 150 pounds. They said it was compressed to the point where it was as dense as oak.
Wow.
Like that's how much that like this parachute was condensed in there. And they put it basically into a mortar tube so that when this occurred, they fired this mortar, which pushed out of the top so that it would fire at 100 miles an hour muzzle velocity, fired this thing up so that it could get into this position in like 0.7 of a second.
Yep. And like Broncos Fett said in the chat, this is on another planet.
Yes, exactly.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. This relatively kind of bluish sky, it like you're looking at the sky of another planet.
Yeah. Which is insane. And we're getting this HD video back of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that parachute, God, that parachute has got to be so tough to withstand. Again, 1.7 Mach. What do they say? That's like 1,000 miles an hour or some shit like that. And you deploy this parachute to start slowing it down. That thing has got to be the most durable thing imaginable. Oh, this was the best shot.
Yeah, so
this whole fucking thing. It doesn't even look real.
Yeah, the heat shield dropping off, it looks like something from the Apollo 13 movie, doesn't it? It's like you're looking at it. And again, what am I looking at? I'm looking at this this wire cable,
Yeah.
to the sensor packet that they have and see how this fucking thing's attached, because there's nothing arbitrary about any of this, right? So when you're engineering something like this, the routing of this fucking wire bundle probably had a purpose.
Oh, I'm sure it
you
did.
know?
Yeah.
And just looking at that level of detail, and they did say in the briefing that you saw. Did you see the entirety of the briefing?
Yeah,
today?
where they said one of those springs was a little off.
Yeah, so that like the spring, he said it was
the 4 o'clock position. So I think
it was over here.
Yeah, I think it was that guy right there.
Yeah, like one spring was like out of position.
Yeah.
But yeah, just fucking absolutely fascinating.
Which again, they never would have known if the video didn't exist.
There's not a sensor attached to every single thing on here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which again, watching that fall to the surface of Mars doesn't even look real, but it's incredible to see.
Yeah, and just floating under this canopy, it's slowing itself down to subsonic speeds as it gets closer and closer. What I was hoping was in this fucking shot, at some point you'd see like the thing hit and go
like the Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah. They did show something later in the press conference that they showed like something from the MRO where it had the site of the lander, the
heat shield,
the parachute, and then the actual the rocket assembly.
So like where everything is basically. Yeah.
I think the parachute and the heat shield was like a kilometer away, something like that. So yeah, you're watching, just like
you're watching it slowly fall to Mars. I was about to say fall to Earth.
Yeah.
But no, it's falling to Mars.
Like we've flown over parts, or I know I have. You've flown over parts of the desert where you look down and it's like the color may be a little bit off, but I know there's been desert, like high desert in like Peru, where the sand color has been a little bit darker than like say over Saudi Arabia. But seeing some of the like dune structure, it's just fascinating. It's just absolutely fascinating to be flying over this terrain.
And you saw the jets kick in a little bit there.
Well, that was the it released something.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, there was a I can't forget. I forget what it was. But they actually released part of the landing assembly.
Okay.
That's what that pop was. And then with the audio of this, they were talking about actually priming the engines, and that they got a good prime indication for the engines, so you knew that at some point it was going to start up.
Yeah.
And then this whole idea too, that they modeled this and they knew that they were going to have to make a maneuver, this like horizontal maneuver, to be able to say, okay, our landing system's turning on. We're going to basically put this in the appropriate attitude so that the landing system can work appropriately. Then it's going to guide itself back to this spot.
Yeah.
Like that. First of all, the imagination that you have to, anticipate something that's going on hundreds of millions of miles away, that in this environment that you have really, up until this point, you've had no idea what it looked like. You can only conceptualize and model it. And as good as computers are, you can't get it spot on. But to, again, do this within a 5-meter tolerance. And
like you said, too, a different atmosphere, like different composition of the air, and the gravity's different there. So it's not something you can just test out here on Earth and be like, okay, worked here, should be good.
Yeah, we're tested. Not like an airplane. You go test it to the point where you know it's going to work. Like there's a lot of things you kind of have to, I'd hate to say put it on faith, but at some point you're like, yeah, we engineered this as much as we possibly can, so let's hope it works.
Yep. Yeah, and then it's starting to smooth out. Because that's, you notice when the guidance engines kick in, because it smooths out, and now it's just like going straight down.
Yep.
Right, to the point where,
so this to me was like, I wondered about this because I think it's 20 meters at altitude when it begins to lower it. And I was curious how much if there was going to be some brownout, similar to what helicopters encounter when they're flying in a desert environment. And you can see like the rockets are definitely fucking they're sandblasting some of this area here for it. And you can see how just rocky it is too.
Yep.
Like,
and then you don't realize how close it's getting to the ground, but
yeah, whoop, and it's gonna.
That is,
it's just unbelievable.
It's beautiful watching the rover kind of detach from the.
So many thousands of things to even get to this point. Like we're not in the clear yet. There's still a lot of things that have to happen to make this a success, right? But at this point, you have a rocket sled, right? The sky crane with these basically holding up an SUV that it's going to lower to the ground so that it has like a less than 1G impact on the ground, right? When it gets to the ground. Then you're going to have to this thing can't just, it's going to have to detach itself and then fuck off,
right?
You know, and to get out of the area so it doesn't crash on top of this fucking thing.
Yep.
So if like you were saying, if one of these rockets, you know, doesn't perform properly and they don't make this adjustment to be able to do anything, and the whole thing is fucked. The thing could have been dragging the rover across the Martian surface. Just
or I'm even picturing it just like kind of not really getting that sense of where it is and just like fucking slamming it to the ground. Like,
yeah, it's like fucking pilots on landings. They're like, yeah, 50, 40, 30. Ah!
We've never had that happen
before. Never had fucking, yeah, you know what, never mind. But yeah, like looking up into the Martian sky, which this is, you know, it's a clear blue Martian day. And how do you fucking predict that you're going to have this type of weather? Right. Mars has its own weather. We have weather satellites over Mars. So but the forecast for months out, there's a huge difference between forecasting a week out and then forecasting months.
Because who would have thought that like there could have been like a Mars equivalent of a fucking thunderstorm or a hurricane blowing through at this point?
Yeah, it's just amazing, just absolutely amazing how many thousands of things had to go right to get to this point.
Yeah, but that shot where it detaches from the sky crane is glorious. And then
there's your brownout, and then
and it's out.
Just fucks off.
And everybody is cheering.
Yeah. Look, this again, it's like something out of a movie.
Yeah, show that part again where it detaches from the
like, so you have these, like, so you have all these little pyros too. Like they have these explosive devices that make a lot of the stuff work. Like unlocking the lens caps have little fucking pyrotechnics on it, like to make that shit work. You know, the idea that these things had to fire off and cut it, like the umbilical had to cut, you know, at a specific thing, and like all these things had to happen so this thing could fucking fly off like this.
And again, it almost doesn't even look real, you know? It looks like something out of a movie.
Yeah. We're watching it in HD. That this is like, from this point forward, excuse me, from this point forward, anything that you watch that's related to a movie about Mars or a movie that's going to have something on another planet, this is the new baseline.
Yeah.
Like, because we know, like, we've seen it. It's just like trying to do something on the moon. Like, we have file footage of what it looks like to fucking have people on the moon. So that's what you're trying to attain when you do a movie.
Yeah.
It's going to be like this from Mars. Total Recall is not your fucking baseline anymore. now you have an actual fucking video of this landing on Mars, which the landing itself blows my mind. The fact that we've already done this with Curiosity, we never got to see it. Like, not just not the collective the fucking engineers didn't get to see it either. Not like this.
Yeah.
So that they've tried this before and it's worked. This fucking idea that you have a rocket crane hovering over the ground to lower this thing to the Martian soil. I was going to say Earth. To have this thing lower down like that, it just seems so fucking complicated. But you can't argue with this result.
Yeah.
And the safety margin that this probably provides you, because you can steer it to appropriate point under its own power and then drop it down without having to fucking slam it dead into the ground.
And again, a reminder, this was all automated too. This was not some human issuing fucking controls here on Earth. This was something that they programmed in. They're like, all right, at some point we got to fucking cut the cord, and it's going to just go do its thing. And it's either going to succeed or it's going to fail.
Yeah. All the internal code and everything that's been written. And what's even more fascinating too is this EDL, like this landing software, like everything that it's doing right now is running a particular it's going to run this software package. And then they're going to upload a new software package to run the fucking ground operation.
Yeah.
Like, so all the computers and everything now are going to have a fucking new data input that's going to, be, all right, here's the phase where we fucking unlock everything and fucking run all the checks. And then there's going to be another phase where we program this to do the, scouting for the helicopter flight.
Right. So yeah, we haven't even talked about Ingenuity yet. So Ingenuity is the helicopter that's attached, and it's apparently going to take a couple more weeks for it to get up and running. So we're not going to see any footage from that for quite a while.
I think they didn't mention, they might've mentioned it again today during the press conference, but I'm pretty sure that they were talking about it. Talking about it being in the spring, like anticipate in the spring, getting to a point, because getting everything checked out is like,
it's a process.
Yeah.
And again, 10-minute delay one way from the Earth to Mars. So it's a slow process.
So what's amazing about everything that's happening right now with NASA is that we have this level of access. Like, so they gave the press conference today. They posted, they have a site dedicated to raw images.
Yeah.
And you're able to go in and see, like, I guess I'll download this real quick because I wanted to talk about, how it's powered.
Right, because we were having a discussion about that ahead of time. I just kind of assumed, the naive Jason who has done no research, that they were all just powered by solar. Because I'm thinking, like, there's no other way they could have sustainable power for years for some of these rovers and not be on some sort of solar-based power.
Yeah, so the way the conversation came up, we were talking about this. The Chinese had launched a rover as well. That's basically right behind our landing.
Right. It's in orbit around Mars right now, waiting to deploy.
Yep. And seeing some of their rover is reminiscent of like our Mariner. I think it was the Mariner, where basically you had like this little truck that had solar panels on the top, and it was designed to last for weeks, not years, because you of the level of degradation that's going to happen. Like if you've read the book The Martian, right? I think it talks a lot about this, about keeping the solar panels clean and shit like that. And he actually goes off to find this battery that one of the rovers had used, right? So that's this battery, right? This is a nuclear battery. So it's using plutonium as basically its fuel, and as this radiation bleeds off of this, they're using it for electricity and for heat.
Shit.
So, and then this will last a good long time. The Department of Energy, like, what was unique about this launch, right? DOE, anything that has to do with nuclear in the United States goes through Department of Energy. This particular thing is built by the Department of Energy. They build this battery, and this apparently was the first launch where they didn't have to have like presidential approval to launch it, because ordinarily, because it's got nuclear material on it, it would require a presidential level launch.
Right.
This did not, just because we've kind of made this commonplace. Curiosity has the same battery. So it's a proven platform. And in The Martian, I don't know the physics, but in The Martian, I think they do a palatable job of talking about the potential of a battery system like this. Because you're using natural decay of a radioactive body and you're using that for energy.
Shit.
So,
though, I mean,
that's why there's not a single solar panel on this thing.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah, and what kind of radiation is that putting off? Is that a type of thing where a human could probably never get near it when it's functioning?
There's probably not a level of shielding that you would have if it was designed for humans to be near it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously they had to put it into the fucking rocket, so people had. I think it's one of those things where you put it in at the last minute, and then you get it up in the rocket and
get it out,
get it out of the atmosphere. But I don't think we're talking about they don't talk about how much material is in there, but I'm imagining that the level of material in there is probably going to speak to its radiation level.
Yeah,
but it's significant enough where it's not probably designed to be around humans.
Yeah.
But it's effective, and you have to keep something like this. You have to have a way to keep it fucking warm, because you're talking about temperatures like these extreme temperatures that it's being exposed to. What we say, negative 110 degrees Fahrenheit at night. Yeah, and then like negative 10 during the day, a balmy negative 10. I think it was like that in Michigan yesterday.
Right.
So, this, I wanted to show that picture. And like I said, go to mars.nasa.gov. There's so much good shit on there. And you have all of these pictures of the parachute. You have wheels. They have stuff on the nav cam. There is 15 pages of images. Oh, there's even more. 4,600 images now.
Oh my God. Yeah. 93 pages.
Yeah. We don't have enough time on this show to fucking go through all this.
And,
but yeah, look at this fucking.
It's incredible.
Let's download this real quick. I just want to see it.
Get a close up look at that wiring bundle.
Yeah.
Can you zoom? There you go.
Yeah, look at that. It's sensor packages that are underneath this fucking shielding, and they were talking about this. You see a little bit of the white stuff kind of floating off of it. They said that's frost.
Yeah,
that they knew that was going to. They expected it. They just had never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so much of this is just. I would love to be one of these scientists right now.
Yeah.
Because right now the novelty of this isn't going to wear off for a while.
No, not for these guys.
Because we have so many firsts. Like, you're going to get so much imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we can't go through it all.
And like we said, this is planned to be a 2.5-year mission.
Right. And it'll go longer.
Yeah.
I guarantee it will.
Most of the others do. And again, the plan is 2030, land something else on Mars right next to this guy, take that canister of samples that it collected, be like, all right, I'll take that and blast it back to fucking Earth. So this is just the first step of a very long journey that will eventually bring samples from Mars to Earth, which is never happened up to this point.
I wanted to bring up a picture. Here's a good one. You know what? That one's not good. I wanted to just picture like the panorama that they kind of put up earlier. It wasn't the has cam. Which I don't think I'm going to see it. There's so many pictures now. It's so amazing. And there's so many pictures, and that NASA wants you to look at them.
Yeah.
NASA wants like people that, because they're already, right? If I think through a SpaceX group, that I'm in Facebook, somebody had taken some of the raw images that have already come out, and they started doing like some color filtering and some other stuff to like kind of really sharpen the images up.
Yeah.
And NASA's like, yeah, fucking get in there and do it. Like, tell us what you find, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Making all of this available so that if you really, I'll click through 4,260 pictures, because a lot of it I think is just going to be repetition of some stuff we already saw, but
yeah, just still images from the video and things like that.
But it's awesome that we have this level of access.
Yeah, and I think they're doing the right thing with this. I mean, like we said at the beginning of the show, I really hope that this reignites the public's interest in space travel and things like that.
Look, and Lunar Girl brings up if we can do another show when Ingenuity flies. I think we're going to be so excited we're probably going to want to.
Potentially, yeah. We'll see what kind of data we get from it, if it can fill a whole show.
Yeah, because the first flight it's not going to be for very long.
Right. It'll be like,
yeah, just text to make sure it'll actually fucking fly. But what's going to be amazing is that you're not just going to get pictures like we saw here, these like first person views of some stuff. You'll get, here's the rover looking at Ingenuity and watching it fly.
Yeah.
I just, that's going to be fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Cause again, another planet 250 million miles away, we're making all of this happen on.
We can't be talking about this also, like at the end of the presser they played the sound. Did you hear the sound?
I did. Basically you could hear wind blowing across the mic. It's
and you kind of like you did it right there. Like when I heard it, I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting something more, but thinking about it, like I had this this CD when I was younger. It's called Earth Sounds, right? And this dude, he took like high fidelity microphones and put it in like a human like head. So the stereo sound you're getting is basically how you would hear it. And he would go down to the beach and do shit like that. So you'd hear like, hear the wind blowing and the ocean and stuff like that. So I listened to these short clippets of sound and thought about it, kind of like what he had said. He had said, like, kind of close your eyes, picture you're on a Martian surface, and just feel this puff of wind go by. And I think what it did for me in my imagination is that it made it into a real place. Like, seeing it is one thing. Like, now we're getting this extrasensory stuff, right? Where it's not smell-o-vision. There's no scratch and sniff for what fucking Mars smells like.
Right.
But you get this, now it's this extrasensory experience where you're going to be able to hear, like hearing the rover, like hearing the little motor on the rover whirring in the one thing, and then getting a little puff of wind going by it. It really, to have wind means you have air moving. To have air moving, like you go outside and you feel the air kind of move across your face and you feel that little bit of a breeze. It's like, okay, it's that coming from outside or coming from inside going outside, how you like kind of get that fresh little bit of air.
Sure.
That's what it reminded me of. It gave it a little bit of extra sensory element to really whet my imagination on, like, because what the only sound it's going to have is sand blowing over rocks,
right? Because there's not much in the way of terrain there. There is no beach, there is no waterfalls, there's no trees, so you're going to hear sand and wind,
sand blowing over. But even that, like, I would buy that CD. Like, give me a half hour of sand blowing over rocks, on Mars.
Yeah.
And I'll just lay there and think about what that would sound like. Because this is the only time like, if you were a human being standing on Mars, you wouldn't even get to hear it in the same way.
No.
You'd still, no matter what, because you'd have a suit on. You can't live in that environment. Like, you need oxygen and everything else. So your own ears are not going to hear it the same way as you would if it was just a microphone out in the atmosphere to do it.
That's true. Yeah.
So that, and we didn't really touch upon it, but like, even the geologists already are looking at the different rocks and seeing, like, here, I'm sure you saw it on the press conference. They said, here's dark rock, here's light rock, here's holy rock with an E. It's the geologists are looking at it, it's like, okay, is this an igneous rock? Is this something that like is volcanic in origin? Is this something that's like sedimentary? And again, I watched a video on, I think on Thursday night while I was waiting for the other press conference, and it was they were in Iceland, like they were doing core samples in Iceland because Iceland had that volcanic, like there's nothing else, there's nothing alive,
right?
So they were trying to be in a place on Earth that had no biological life, so that they could see what that looked like in coring and like the surface. Like we've been in places in Hawaii that were like that, right? We're just in this lava field, and it looks like you're on the fucking moon.
Yeah,
you think about it. And so they went to Iceland and simulated that, and now we have it.
It's incredible. And again, these are just the first steps. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The future of the human race, if we are to exist forever, it's going to have to eventually be off of Earth. We're going to have to figure out space exploration. We're going to have to figure out a way to get out of our own fucking solar system, which that's going to be a challenge in and of itself. But this is the first step to humanity and us being eternal, if that's truly going to happen. So I'm glad to see it. I'm excited about where we can go from here.
Yeah.
I mean, what's next after this?
Yeah, the Ingenuity is that's going to be a big thing, but even that, it's they don't expect to do much with it. It's got a fairly short lifespan as far as what it can do.
Yeah,
like prove that you can fly. Okay, cool. Now what do we do next? Like they're talking about quadcopters and like the drones. Like I'm flying around. Doing something like that.
And in the chat, Luna Girl brought up a good point that the kids that are watching this today might be some of the first candidates for actual humans visiting Mars. It's being pushed. Elon Musk talks about it all the damn time.
Yeah.
And someday we will put a human on Mars, I believe.
And I think that's this great, it's what's funny is Elon Musk and what he's doing. It's so reminiscent of Contact, right? Where you have this like rich person that's like kind of funding this for his own means, but it doesn't change the fact that he's funding it. Whatever your motive is, like to him it's his modus operandi seems genuine, right? He wants to fucking see humanity progress and be able to say that he was part of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank God, because getting public funding for something of that magnitude, it's almost impossible in this day and age. Even with things like this happening, and we are spending still money to do this, but you need the public's funding. You need the public to be behind it. And commercial products, if there's a commercial competition to get into space, they're going to spend the money, and then we can put the science and the engineering behind it. Because I'll tell you what, if you're a scientist, you're an engineer right now, and you're not trying to work at NASA, you're probably doing it wrong.
Right.
I mean, it's what they're leaning into right now into the technology, or even we're working at SpaceX too, but they're all of them kind of like NASA still basically approves the new designs and things like that. So like that's where the science is. That's where you want to be, is working on those next things and future product. Airplanes, we can make a more efficient wing, and we can at some point make a more efficient engine, but like aerodynamics are what they are.
Right.
You're only gonna be able to do so much shit until you figure out how to do anti-gravity type things like you have in the movies. Like, yeah, and that's fucking shit out of a science fiction thing, which doesn't mean it won't happen. You might get a hoverboard someday.
Probably not in our lifetime, but
probably not. But yeah, kids, parents, encourage your kids to look at this stuff and be amazed by it, and take every opportunity to fucking go outside and look up and be like, yeah, sometimes you might feel a little bit insignificant in the size of all this, but the idea is like if you wanted to, you could be that person. There's no reason that you couldn't be. And that's the best part of all this.
Yeah.
Lunar Girl wants to shout out to Buzz Aldrin and his Get Your Ass to Mars campaign all these years. Yeah, Buzz Aldrin's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
And he's allowed. He walked on the fucking moon. Like, yeah.
He's got the credentials.
Yeah, he does.
Get your ass to Mars.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a good stopping point for us. Hopefully this episode made sense.
And if it didn't, we just got the gush about fucking watching the video for a while, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, it was great though. Really exciting stuff. Really excited for the future of space exploration and what we're going to do next. And thanks for joining us on this ride, everybody.
Yeah, man.
And social media
at Gen X POV on all your social media devices.
Yep, especially Instagram.
Check out what our girl Luna Girl is doing on the social media. She's killing it. And please, for nothing else, if you don't support us, support her.
Yeah.
And go to our merch shop. Go to teespring.com.
I should do that too.
Teespring.com. Shit. I had that up. Here it is. teespring.com/user/from a Gen X point of view podcast. It's kind of long. I think if you go into the search bar and put from a Gen X point of view podcast, you can get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
And you can get t-shirts and mugs and, fun stuff. I got one of my lodge brothers was talking about a copyright attorney talking about our G.I. Joe style logo. It's not anywhere near close enough to where that would be an issue. I think the Beavis and Butthead would probably be closer, but even that's like,
it's changed enough.
It's changed enough, and it's hand drawn by I don't know her name. I only know her Instagram
Bernadette, my sister-in-law.
Yeah, one classy gal on Instagram.
Correct.
So she's an amazing artist, and now her work it could potentially be emblazoned on a T-shirt.
That is right.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I should get her a T-shirt.
She should, or a coffee mug if she's a coffee drinker. Or you could do a pillow too. There's actually pillow. You could do like there's the joy of Teespring is that it has all this fucking capability, and we don't have to worry about it.
French flag?
I don't know. I drew it how I drew it.
Yeah.
I think it may be loosely based on some cartoon series whose logo is
purely coincidental.
All
right. Well, I think it's time for us to get out. So thanks everybody for joining us. Again, no show next week, but 2 weeks from today. I don't think we said what the topic was.
Mandatory Metallica.
That's right. We're talking about Metallica in 2 weeks. So get your research in. I actually was listening to Kill 'Em All on my drive home from work today.
Nice.
So I'm doing my research, going back, digging into some of the archives. It'll be an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to get into just with our experiences alone, how we feel about their later work versus their early work. And
here's why I think Metallica is a good band to talk about. It spans a long period of time.
Yeah.
We got to see it in the maturation process, and we got to listen to the music kind of mature a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what stage of life you entered into Metallica, I mean, they're still prevalent today.
Oh, yeah.
So it's definitely tune in, because we're gonna talk about it, and it's just we can't.
Probably not.
Yeah. We could do like a air guitar thing. Do it. Well, you have a real guitar. You could play like something. So learn how to play some Metallica.
I should learn how to play like the opening riff of Seek and Destroy.
Maybe we could have you and Nick go.
Maybe just Nick. How about that?
I know. Speaking of guys like Big Swede, he's working on a project with Swede Studios that I think Gen Xers would like. So he's working on a music project. So check out Swede Studios on YouTube.
Yes.
Check out the Escape Pod on Wednesday nights on the YouTube, and also on all your podcasting devices.
Mm-hmm.
Check out the Use and Abuse podcast. Scott popped in. Grandpa Scott popped in early in the podcast to say hi. So check out the Use and Abuse guys and check out Keith Lehman. On layman's terms, he's on the Facebook.
Yes,
and he is funny.
And all of these people can be found in our private Facebook group on Facebook, right. The Sidebar Cantina. I've actually added like 3 new people in the last week.
Yeah, I've seen that. So there's some traffic moving in. I think it's a direct correlation to our social media director.
I truly believe that.
Yeah, I do as well.
Thanks again, Luna Girl. All right, we're done. See you guys in 2 weeks when we rock out to some Metallica. And yeah, remember, everything we told you today was true from a Gen X point of view.
Okay, now what do I click?
I went back to the classic.
I went traditional. Who needs research when you live the life?
Fucking right. Oh my God, I can't wait to talk about Metallica. So many stories.
Yeah,
like,
there's
the concert that I saw them in alone is, I could fill a podcast with that. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh my God. That's been lurking the entire pod. God, I hate it when I sneeze. Like everything goes numb.
Why am I surprised?
Oh my God. It's the worst ever.
I'm not giving you mouth to mouth. You're going to die on the studio floor.
Thanks, McLovin. Yeah, I think Metallica is a good one because it's across so much time frame.
Mm-hmm. You know, yeah, Kill 'Em All was 83. I didn't realize how long ago that was.
Yeah, and
they're still doing music today.
Yep.
Not that I've listened to it, but
it's every once in a while. What did they have?
So there's an album from 2019 I saw on Apple Music when I did my search today.
They just did something with the San Francisco Orchestra again.
Oh, did they?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we're going to talk about S&M too, which is not, by the way, in Apple Music, which I'm very upset about. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, there's an S&M 2 that came out in 2020. All right, S&M is on here. It's not under their albums, though. It's under live albums.
Oh, well, there you go. See, they had you for a second. They had you for a hot second.
Like, I was pissed because I'm like, fuck you.
So we got 2 weeks of listening to Metallica to be fucking extra pumped up.
Yep.
And yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm looking forward to it. And then we have our next little bit. We have the rest of the month worked out. The month of M's.
Yeah, the M month.
Yeah, the Dave selected M month, by the way.
But it works. It's all good choices, I think.
I hope so.
Yeah. Should we like tell them now?
Nah. Well, they're nah.
All right, but just know that we have a movie that starts with M and a video game that starts with M.
Ooh, maybe Lunar Girl could work that into like a game,
like a poll.
Yeah.
What do you think?
What retro game begins? Like, do you think it's going to be that begins with M?
Uh-huh.
And then what movie? They'll never get the movie.
I doubt it. Well, they could just do some research and figure out.
Yeah, a modicum of research would probably overturn that one. But hey, if you figure it out, good on you. Did you pick up on the press conference? The one dude.
I don't typically pick up on dudes, but
typically only after you wax. The one Asian dude, he talked about he was talking about the shoot opening and like he was describing all that, and he said that there was like an Easter egg in there if like you could decipher all that stuff.
I was thinking it had something to do with the red and the white in the parachute,
the pattern. So they had an AMA on Reddit, which I actually tuned into for a hot second before the show because I thought maybe something will come up. I didn't really see anything.
Yeah.
But I think there was something on Twitter that like they deciphered like a JPL potentially in the pattern work, like depending on like how the parachute was. So yeah, I don't like Vickers is the perfect guy for that. Dutch is the perfect guy for that because he had me on some this anamorphic thing, which is really amazing fucking camera work with over on YouTube, like using gimbals and shit like that. Really, really neat. Like the production quality is amazing. But I guess there's like little puzzles in there that you can solve that'll get you to certain things and get you enrolled in prizes and shit like that. So he had me doing that for like I don't know, for a couple hours. And unfortunately, my attention span it wasn't strong enough to stay with it.
Yeah.
But oh shit.
Hmm? Yeah.
Well, that didn't take long.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not confirming or denying it.
That is true. Yeah.
We could have just been fishing for, hey, come up with ones that there's M.
Yeah.
So I don't have to,
and then we'll pick the best one.
Yeah, so I don't have to look at the fucking collection back here because it's probably
the sacred games.
Yes, it's probably sitting here behind me.
Yeah.
Pretty
sure I do have the original Metroid. Hold on. I'm gonna find it. Well, it's on the NES Classic.
Mm-hmm.
But do I still have my original copy? That is the question.
That is the question.
No. Sadly, stupidly, I did a big purge of my original NES games years and years ago, and I got rid of a lot of my original games, and now I'm fucking kicking myself in the ass for doing that. So
Yeah.
I gotta rebuild.
I saw
NES
Double
collection.
Dragon in there, though. That'd be a fun one to play.
Yeah. That was dude, Double Dragon in the fucking arcades when that first came out. Holy shit, that was huge.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, we still have to piece together how we're going to do that console war thing.
Right.
Oh, no, Rick, it is not the Mario Brothers movie. Sorry. Oh God.
That would be funny though. That's more of a how did this get made kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like how did Ron Jeremy get a fucking, because I every time I see that version of Mario, I think it's Ron Jeremy.
The Bob Hoskins version. Oh, it's good stuff. All right.
It's
I gotta
after
get
8.
inside. Yeah. So it's about that time.
We did over 2 hours on the Mars landing.
I'm honestly shocked. Like
every time he doesn't believe we have enough for a show.
It's like, yeah, what are we going to talk about? It landed and there's pictures.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around.
Yes.
We love you guys. See ya.